This is an example how to factor a quadratic equation. Remember, when we're factoring, we ultimately want to get it where we have it broken down. Now, we don't know how we're actually going to fill this in, whether it's going to be pluses or minus or what's going to go in. You can always guess and check, but it gets complicated when you have a lead coefficient. It's a little harder with which to break it down. The method I'm going to show you will work whether the lead coefficient is 2, as it is in this case, or if it's 1. Frequently referred to as the X and then box method. Most students, this is how they learn it in school. This is hopefully a refresher. If not, it's a good way and an easy way to actually factor more challenging quadratic equations. So to factor this equation, we know that we have to somehow come up with a combination of factors of 2 and factors of -8 that are going to combine to get us 15 when we write it in the form like this. So obviously, to multiply it out, we're going to have a plus and a minus, and we're going to have a 2x and an x because we're going to get 2x squared, which is what we start with. And we'll have a plus and minus. Of course, the pluses and minuses may be reversed here, but it's hard to when there's lots of combinations of numbers that you can use. So this is where the x comes in. I know that I have to get to 15, so I usually put the 15 down below. Need to get to 15 by looking at factors of -16. In other words, the 2 times the -8. If the coefficient at the x squared is 1, of course it would be 1 times whatever your c is here. So now looking at factors of -16, let's just think about factors of 16. I have 1 times 16, I have 2 times 8, and I have 4 times 4. I'm looking for some way that I can add these numbers together or subtract to get to 15. Well, we can see right away that if I did 16 minus 1, that's going to give me 15. So if I put 1 and 16 here, and put a negative, I can see that 16 times -1 gets me -16, which is what we have up top. 16 minus 1 gives me the 15 down here, which is what we need. Now we're going to use that result to actually do our factoring. We need to begin with, you can either factor by grouping, that works fine, or you can use the box. I like the box because it's pretty visual and it's easier not to goof your science. I'm going to write the quadratic in the shape of a z. So I'm going to take my equation, 2x squared. This is the equation we want to factor. I can't put 15x in, I have this and this box, but what I want to do is be able to add these two, this diagonal to get to 15x. I know from what I just found with using the x that it can be 16 and it's going to be 16x, of course, and minus 1x. 16x minus 1x gives me 15x. And then the last thing I have to put in is the -8. So now if I look at this in the z form, so to speak, I see I have 2x squared, 16x minus 1x gives me my 15x, and then I have my -8. Now this, in a way, is the trickiest part. Students get here, then they're not sure what to do. Well, what you need to do is pull out of this first row what they have in common. 2 is the largest number that'll go into 2, and 16. If I look at the x squared and x is the largest thing that'll go into both. Now I kind of think about it as like finding area. 2x times what gets me to 2x squared? Let's see, 2x times x will give me the 2x squared. 2x times what gets me to 16x? Okay, that's times +8. X times what gives me to -1x? Well, negative 1. And this is a check figure in a way. 8 times negative 1 is negative 8. So it looks like it works. So let's see. My factoring then is 2x minus 1. I just read this column here, times x plus 8. And I read that row right here. This is it. Let's see, let's double check it though. So I have 2x squared plus 16x minus x minus 8 by foiling, and that gives me 2x squared plus 15x minus 8. Check. Two things to note. First of all, it doesn't matter whether you put the 16x here or here. It doesn't matter which one goes, as long as it adds up to 15x. You could have put the negative 1x in the box where the 16x is, and then put the 16x into the box where the negative 1x is right now. The other thing is I noticed that as I did this, I said 16 times negative 1 is negative 16, and I forgot to put my negative there. So I just want to catch that now. Hope this helps.